Timing out campaign 2022. The countdown you see here is the time left before Missouri voters hit the poll in primary elections. And with that clock ticking, a brand new poll just out at this hour is revealing the voters' pulse.
Yeah, conducted exclusively for News 4 and our media partners in the state of Missouri. It gives former Governor Eric Greitens a significant edge in the race for U.S. Senate. Chief investigative reporter Lauren Traeger has been combing through the data. She joins us with these new numbers you're only going to see right here on News 4.
These new poll numbers underscore what some politicos have been saying about Greitens' chances to make it to Capitol Hill, but it's also important to note it is just a snapshot in time and a sampling of voters, and a lot could still change in the 11 weeks before the August primary. The data was done exclusively for KMOV and our Missouri sister stations by Survey USA, an independent, nonpartisan research company.
We are coming for you.
You guys ready to save America?
Stop the socialism.
There's too many fakes and frauds.
In the crowded Republican primary for Senator Roy Blunt's seat, the new poll numbers put Greitens on top with 26% of the vote. Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmitt at 17% of the vote and Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler at 11%. Congressman Billy Long takes 7%. But here there is some gray area. 28% of likely voters say they are still undecided in the Republican primary. According to the poll, no surprise, Greitens does well in rural Missouri with significant strength in southeastern Missouri, while in the greater St. Louis area, Schmitt and Greitens tie. Now, here's an interesting note. Likely Republican voters were polled, and more than half say they are more likely to vote for a candidate if former President Trump endorsed them, and Trump hasn't endorsed anyone yet. Now, taking a look at the Democratic primary, a pretty wide open field here with Marine vet and attorney Lucas Kunce taking 10% of the vote if the election happened today, and nurse and philanthropist Trudy Bush Valentine taking 8%. But in this race, there are still 68% of surveyed voters still undecided. So lastly, the poll did look at the likely November general election matchups, and the numbers there put all of the top three Republicans leading or defeating either of the two Democratic frontrunners. Though the margin does get a bit smaller if Greitens is the nominee. He leads Valentine by 6 points, 20% undecided, and he leads Kunce by 6 points as well, 22% undecided in that matchup. Either way, some strong showing in the polls for former Governor Eric Greitens, despite his 2018 scandals and more recent allegations from the former First Lady. We talked with a professor at UMSL, a political analyst, about what all of this means.
There's always a margin of error and some uncertainty about how accurate these polls are. I sort of take it as a rough snapshot of what voters are thinking of right now, and there's still 2.5 months to go. Their views could change between now and Election Day.
We're going to have Professor David Kimball here live at 6:30 to talk about all of these numbers and what they could mean for candidates going forward. I'm Lauren Traeger, News 4 Investigates.
And we reached out to each Senate candidate for reaction. Eric Schmitt declined to comment. Vicky Hartzler's campaign slams the polling and claims her own internal polling shows she's leading both Schmitt and Greitens. But here's what Eric Greitens had to say.
Well, I think the really good news from your poll and from others is that we're winning the general election, and we're winning it substantially. We're winning it well outside of the margin of error. So it's very clear that we're going to be winning this race.
All the detailed data from tonight's exclusive KMOV Missouri polling can be found at KMOV.com and your News 4 app.
Changes